brand new season, same old teams, and even same old players in all kinds of different configurations rolling out the gate. We're going to see. Alrighty. Mooies on Torbjorn.
And this is for Nova MS, by the way. 3 DPS members coming out the gate, Nuns. Starting out on the Zarya, and with Nova MS now going straight towards the point on that high ground.
This is very interesting. I do like where the turret is set up. Gives them a nice side angle onto Cyclone coupling as they come out this door. Does get found out, spotted there a little bit by Lee Chang-soon. So Cyclone coupling slowly but surely driving into Nova MS will get the opening pick as well.
When I said go to the point, I meant just Mui there because he was putting his turret towards that point high ground. But as the Nova MS guys are starting to fall over here, you see now Cyclone coupling moving up. Should be getting that first cap shortly.
Ting's been under pressure for a long, long while here. Will finally crumble, and the thing is he wasn't able to do much defense for the rest of his team either in that time. So Cyclone coupling just kind of slowly but surely pushing through Nova MS to get the point.
You're starting to see now if Mui maybe stays on this Torb or not, because you look at the Cyclone coupling side, Lee Chang-soon playing the Sombra in this Sombra Goats composition that we do expect to see a lot, and for Nova MS going for something a little bit more different, but so far not really bearing fruit, especially coming off the Torb.
Lee Chang-soon isn't too charged up, but they've got other ultimates they can leverage. Can sleep on Fallen, can't quite follow it up. And again, a Ting taking heaps of pressure. Technical doesn't even bother turning around to drill him down, just wants to drop the grab first, but that may have actually cost them. They could have maybe finished off a Ting first there, but instead they end up getting counter-pushed on, and Nova MS are going to drive Cyclone coupling off this point.
It's actually quite surprising because the grab did catch a few members, and with the opening pick, you'd expect Cyclone coupling to maybe be able to snowball this one, put in their other ultimates as they start to come online, but as they start to lose their own members, the trades coming through from Nova, very effective. The Sombra EMP now not quite able to be used. They're in a 4v5 scenario, and Cyclone coupling wanting to just save for the next fight.
The thing is, now Nova MS might have some tools to answer. In all fairness, it's only a sound barrier, actually doesn't have it yet. Finally, Burner is able to crack that one out, but a decent biotic grenade really took the wind out of Cyclone coupling sails there and ends up culminating in Falling going down, technical as well, and Cyclone coupling not the engage they were looking for.
And this is now starting to get into the comfort zone for Nova, and we do still have to talk about the Torb eventually. Molten Core's online, but I feel like the member that's really, really pushing Nova forward has to be in it. He's landing some great biotic grenades, and there isn't that diva on the other side. In fact, neither team really has a diva, so looking at Zarya players, looking at an Ana play if one exists, especially on the side of Nova, they're the ones who are going to make the biggest impact.
Grab going to come out very early, should be answered yes by Transcendence, but with biotic grenade, they have to commit the sound barrier as well to try keep members alive. Even then, Red Fox still goes down. Good counter trade from Mui, for goodness sake. Able to pick up all of the support line of Cyclone coupling. That means the rest have the rug pulled out from under them, and not long for this world. And Nova MS, just nothing seems to be phasing them right now.
And it's an interesting fight because Nova, they put down the grab pretty early. They put down the Molten Core as a combo. You don't see the Molten Core kills come through until a little bit after, that Graviton Surge has dissipated already. Cyclone coupling are moving about, and then suddenly both their supports get caught inside that. And now you're looking at a last fight scenario, Nova approaching 90.
It was actually going okay for Cyclone coupling before that, and this one again going pretty okay for them. They've got a good grab, and they're finally starting to get the kills across Nova. Unfortunately, a Ting Shatter didn't get the mileage they needed, so Cyclone coupling not going to get fully shut out from that point. They do have another chance here.
And focusing on the point first, they had the opportunity to maybe dive on the grab a little bit sooner, but they went for the cap, got that cap, got a few members down, played the 6v3 advantage, or played the player advantage anyway, got the rest of the kills, and now in a decent position to push forward for their own 99% overtime. Sombra EMP should be a pretty big tool here. They can combat with the Earth Shatter, and that should allow them to get a free team fight win.
Should be able to preempt Burner having the sound barrier as well. There it goes out. Not too great. Now the sound barrier does come in from Burner as well. They haven't been able to convert on the EMP, so just trying to get the kills through. Nuns is able to commit Rav here. This could be where they start to pull ahead, but not quite getting the kills off that either. This is keeping the fight off the point, but Mui looking to push in with the help of the Molten Core, and Jackie gets picked off. So this is the door now open for Nova MS.
And Nova, as soon as they start approaching this cap, you got to look for Cyclone coupling. Can they put in any more ultimates? Looking at technical gears, maybe the core member.
Close. Nice stun on Fallen though, and they confirm the kill with the help of the biotic grenade. And that means even though this grab comes out from technical and a great biotic grenade from GCGG, unfortunately without the extra DPS from Fallen, they aren't able to get the kills required off that ultimate connecting. And Nova MS, having re-grabbed the point, will clean up the rest of Cyclone coupling and take the first stage of Nepal.
And that's even with Muhu picking up a ton of kills right towards the end there on the turret. Lee Chang's Hoon going down is a really big one. The EMP loss there could have been a bit of a turnaround, but a few things could have worked better for Cyclone Coupling, all things considered. When you look towards one of the last couple of fights, you have the EMP into Shatter combo. Fallen drops the Shatter, catches, I believe, only a Ting, so that's a one-man Shatter off an EMP. They don't really win anything off that. In fact, they lose a fight with that double ultimate combo, which should be, again, a fight winner. That should be a free fight win for them. They should be able to push into the overtime, and then things look better from there. But Nova, they get the job done. They get a lot more, I would say, mileage out of the Torb than possibly you'd think they would be,
right?
Because it's not something you technically see, and it's here, and as it's working, I guess they should maybe keep running it.
And that's the thing, we've also just had a question answered about it. Like, it wasn't just a village special like what sometimes May can be. This is a genuine pick that they want to run, at least for the purposes of control. Let's see if it pans out for them a second time, though.
So I like to see Cyclone Coupling, because they're running more of a standard 3-3 here. They can afford to get quite aggressive. That's why they're already onto the cap, and in about 10 seconds, Nova have to make their approach.
Pressure on Mui, but he does stay alive. Slowly wanted to square up around the point. He's setting up a good crossfire angle. Nice catch on technical. D-Mech and quick follow up. Plus, huge biotic grenade onto Fallen without the Diva there alive to block it. GCGG gets headshotted on the side. Just pressured out from the point. Cyclone Coupling as they tried to do the same to Nova MS.
And the combos there as well. You see them D-Mech technical, which frees up no Matrix. And then it's like, that's a free bio for me. Lands it on 2. And Cyclone Coupling don't have a response. They can't be the team here that gets initiated upon. If they're running the standard 3-3 and Nova MS or not, you have to expect the Cyclone can and should be running over Nova MS by being quite aggressive. You play against this comp the same way you would play against a Sombra.
I mean, this was one of his strongest picks and when he was on Talon just last season. It's no surprise that he's able to get that same mileage with these biotic grenades. Cyclone Coupling, even with the Diva, are struggling to answer it.
You see Mui on the flank as well, looking for something from behind. And meanwhile, in the front, it's going to be Nano Boost used.
Good timing on the grab, keeps a Ting at bay, and he doesn't get much from the Earth Shatter. He does at least stop follow-up. That's a charge for a charge, and both teams are down one support, but Nova MS starting to lose a few more now. A Ting pressured low, and Mui picked off, means Cyclone Coupling, even with Fallen low, does go down, and a Ting has stayed alive. Nuns as well got a bit low for a second there. I don't know where a Ting is hiding, but he is the winner of hide and seek for all time at this rate. Him not going down while Fallen did is actually so big for them, and Nuns sticking in the fight to keep the damage output means Nova MS hold the point.
And Cyclone Coupling are struggling to find focus on targets in these fights. It was basically a 6v5 as Mui's trying to go around the backside, putting the turret quite far away as well. If Cyclone Coupling really get their boots on the ground on the point itself, collect up a bunch of kills with that pressure from having an extra member in the 3-3 comp, they should be winning these far easier, but they are losing a lot of these fights. In fact, they haven't won a single one.
Nova MS are looking healthy in the ultimate department. That is a great catch on Nun's grab, though. Tried to get maybe a bit too preemptive sleep on a Ting for a hot second. The Cyclone Coupling commit sound barrier to keep them in the fight for now as they finish a Ting. And this is more or less what they've been looking for. They are having to burn through a lot of ultimates, but they did pull all the ultimates that Nova MS had at their disposal.
And this is where you start to see Cyclone Coupling. Okay, they found a couple of picks now. Should be the recap as well, where you start to believe this composition is the correct one. You have technical on the Diva. Doesn't get early D-Mech this time around. Can put pressure onto Init. That's one way you shut down the Ana, because the Ana's not going to do much if the defense matrix is in play, which it should be. Now you look at Nova. Do they start to make some changes, or are they quite comfortable at 99?
Credit to Nuns, by the way, who got his grab eaten and is now pushing 70% on his next one. It at least will give them a leg to stand on in some future fight, if not this next one.
So once again, you do also see Cyclone Coupling ultimate advantage. This is a grab connected.
Yeah, very nicely done there. They are going to be able to follow up, finding Burner and Shylin. Not too much trouble there on the engage. Sleep on Lee Chang-soon's cute, but that's going to be Cyclone Coupling holding without really too much issue.
And that needs to be the kind of fight they win, because we saw on Village when they were supposed to win fights, when they had the right ultimates available, when they had the right advantages, they weren't able to win. Now they are at least winning a couple in a row. Fallen's got the next one. He's got the Earth Shatter available. Self-Destruct is available as well. Nova is starting to come up on a few of their own, but you don't expect them to be able to take this just yet unless they get a lot of nice opening damage or a pick early.
And Nuns does have to pay attention to technical, which means they can burn a bit more time until Red Fox has a better answer to the grab. Technical's going to do exactly that by tossing up self-destruct. Multi-core out from Mui. There we go. Bought them the time, but they don't quite have the sound barrier yet. A little bit rough. They lose.
Should be using it
early. Finally commits it out now, but Technical's already been D-mech'd. This is not the fight that Cyclone Coupling wanted, and now they're having to throw ultimates into the mix just to stay in the race. And Ting with the nano boosters doing so much damage now, and Fallen gonna go down under a Ting's hammer. It's gonna be Nova MS getting the regrab, and at 99%, I don't see Cyclone Coupling pushing back on here, unfortunately, especially not with Red Fox, the taxi driver, down and out for the count. Nova MS looking to pick up our first map of Season 2.
And there's just not going to be enough trades coming back from the side of Cyclone Coupling. Once Nova really start to get the ball rolling, once they get that first pick, they snowball into that second, the third one, the fourth one, and they just keep on going. And right towards the end there, Grav coming through pretty early, or rather, you have ultimates being flown in, self-destruct was being rushed in fairly quickly on the side of Cyclone Coupling. Not going to make the connection there. A few more ultimates started to come online at just the right time for Nova MS. They drop in their nanos, they drop in their molten cores, they start finding those picks again. Innan's hitting his shots as well. And if you don't see the proper response from Cyclone Coupling, if it's not going to be Fallen really connecting big time on a shatter, and he got like maybe a couple, but no real kills coming out of that, that's not going to be a fight for Cyclone Coupling to be able to come back from.
It's no ability to follow up, right? Because you're more or less using it in a way reactionarily. You're seeing this team pushing on. You want to slow it down. You want to maybe push them back. But it just couldn't work out. By that point as well, with the Zarya dead, you lose a lot of the potential damage follow-up. It just didn't seem to play out ever quite right for Cyclone Coupling, with a few limited scenarios where it did. That being said, on both maps, Cyclone Coupling did still push it up to the sort of 80% area. You can argue that that's just one fight's difference between winning and losing, but things were going right far more often for Nova MS than they were for Cyclone Coupling.
I do also look at the opening lineup for Nova, and they decide, with all their players, Nuns going to be playing the Zarya. You'd probably expect, okay, if they wanted to play something more standard, does Nuns then go on to the Diva? But, those are questions for maybe other maps. So in some ways, they were kind of stuck on that composition for a while with the Torbjorn. If they wanted to make changes, probably a lot of members would have to suddenly go on to a lot of different heroes, which would probably slow down their ult economy quite a bit as well. So looking at compositions, I think, especially on the side of Cyclone Coupling, they made some good calls there. They decided on trying to go 3-3 standard. Should be able to counter out, at least comp-wise on paper, should be able to counter out what the side of Nova were running. But outside of comp itself, you start to look at fundamentals of how do you actually play 3-3 goats. And on that side of things, Nova was well outplaying the side of Cyclone Coupling.
And I think that's maybe just one of the things Cyclone Coupling carries coming into this season, because they've had a little bit of a roster shuffle. Not too much. They've sort of settled on a main tank after the kind of revolving door of main tanks last season, and Fallen now, at least for now. I don't want to speak too soon because I feel like it could still be different next week, but he is currently in that main tank role. They've shuffled up a couple of other players as well, so it's not the exact same thing we've seen. They've still got most of the same core, but you do, as we know, need super slick coordination in goats, especially when it comes to the Diva. We didn't quite see that.
Which is why it's surprising, because Nova have had a huge shakeup. They have one returning member from their previous roster, and he didn't even play just now. It was, if you really think about it, all 6 members were completely new to Nova. It is actually just a fully brand new team, and they're able to gel together for a 3-3 type of composition so well. But let's see if that carries over now to the next game or the next map. It will be on Assault, so let's go ahead and take a look.
Welcome to Hanamura. This is Assault. 2 teams face off as either defenders or attackers. The attacking team has a limited amount of time to capture 2 objectives. First A, and then B. To capture an objective, the attackers need to stand within its range for a set amount of time. Defenders can delay capture progress by also standing in range. To resume capture, the attackers must force the defenders off the objective by any means necessary. If successful, they score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. Now the fight moves to objective B. If even one attacker is on an objective when the clock runs out, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until either team is cleared away. The round ends when the attackers capture both objectives, or when time runs out. Teams switch sides each round. Whichever team scores the most points wins.
And for Assault, for the brand new season, going to be starting things out on Paris, and we've not seen Paris so far in the map pool for Contenders. Seen a decent amount now in the Overwatch League, but let's see how Tier 2 is going to run with this.
And it's a peculiar map, I would say. It's especially more recently, you know, with Baptiste. There's the Baptiste bunker option. We were seeing a bit of that late last season in Contenders. It's a possibility on the Paris map. Is that something either of these teams are necessarily going to run?
And I think mostly what we've seen so far, especially when you do look at Overwatch League, is a lot of standard 3-3, but I think a lot of those teams favor the standard 3-3 anyway. I look at a team like Nova MS, they're a team that wants to bring out Torb on the pole, so is there maybe a secret weapon they have for Paris as well, being that none of these teams have really played a full match on it yet. A lot of questions to be answered, and looking specifically at what Nova want to do once again, because they are that team that probably are going to do something wild.
Could you say they are that team with a certain...
Oh,
here it is. Fromage.
We're going to say je ne sais quoi.
That might have been the joke. Might have been the joke I just made.
Oh, good.
Baguette.
Means we're on the same page.
All right, mon petit croissants.
Well, you do see an Orisa. You do see a Torb. It's actually going to be Cyclone Coupling. But that's the thing, because last season Cyclone Coupling was the team that were known to probably flex a little bit more compositionally.
They've always been, in a way.
So this is going to be it basically is a bunker. In fact, it just is a bunker. They are going to run the Widowmaker version, and Shailen's going to find out really quickly that probably he's not going to be playing this much longer.
Yep, they are running in a sort of attempted bunker buster here, though. This is quad DPS right now, and we felt that this was an option for Nova MS. It's interesting to see them pulling it out so early.
A team with the early dislodging of that bunker defense means, look, there was an opportunity. Opportunity still found, though.
Yep, that's the opening that they're looking for. That's the issue as well with this many DPSs, right? All it takes is one good shot. They have got the shield back up, though. As Red Fox looks for the raise, will find it. Fallen goes down, but that's a trade this time. That is still the shield, which should mean that Mui and Enin can keep pressure up, and there it goes. Starts to fall apart with the res as well on Shailen. Consider this bunker busted.
And this is where, especially when you start considering respawn distances as well, more picks coming online from the side of Nova, do not expect Cyclone Coupling to be able to come back in time.
Ting just decides to roll on out for a second. Doesn't need to go too deep on Red Fox. Technical eating a lot of pressure. That's going to be a DMAC on Technical right as Nova look for this point. This is really huge.
And this is Cyclone Coupling now thinking, okay, we may have wanted to go 3-3, but with that kind of DMAC as well, Fallen's onto the Winston. Jackie was thinking about a Genji, but now he's back on the Brigida as we have a snowball come in from Nova.
Yeah, this is really rough timing-wise for Cyclone Coupling. Already losing the main tank. Now Dragon Strike going to come across, really hamstring their ability to respawn and reinforce. Red Fox hacked out.
Need to get this
res for a moment. If they can finish this off, actually taking quite a while. Red Fox has survived for an astonishingly long time, but you can't quite say the same for his co-support, or her co-support rather, and a few other members on Cyclone Coupling hacked out, picked off. It feels like it's only a matter of time as the pressure starts to become overwhelming. Burner has done an excellent job of keeping all these members topped off. Nuns does go down, but Cyclone Coupling, I don't know if they can quite push Nova MS off.
I think they will, and the reason they will is because Red Fox has survived this entire time. She's not gone down at all. She received herself a nano boost, and with that, staying in the air, hacked out twice and unable to be killed, putting in that healing, getting the resurrection, allowing Cyclone Coupling to be able to reinforce and only dropping one tick, nearly dropped the second one, 62.1%. But for the side of Nova MS, they'll be happy with something on the board, but expecting a lot more from them considering how much of an advantage they walked in with.
I also really enjoyed the fight fire with fire approach from Cyclone Coupling. I mean, part of it is stalling, you know, you pull out the Tracer for that sort of purpose, but Lee Chang-Soo moving on to the Widowmaker, they recognize there are a lot of squishy targets on Nova MS. If they could pick just enough, they could start to force them off, and that's exactly what happens.
Because there's a decent amount of expenditure on the side of Nova MS, they don't come in with a lot, and if they're losing a Ting as well, this should be them backing out.
Yeah, they had to make the compositional swap, which is unfortunate. It means they're getting a lot less out of this fight than they would have liked. They would have at least wanted to charge up some of those ultimates. Only one they've really got headway on is Nuns' EMP.
And that's going to be matched by Lee Chang-Soo pretty soon as well. You'd expect them to get a lot of that extra spam damage, and looking at both the Sombras as the members that can define that next engagement. The next member you have to look at is both of this, the Zenyatta players. Inan sitting at 70% now. GCGG's not that far behind, and Cyclone Coupling do still have the defensive advantage to really lean into.
So now, Nova MS are just kind of waiting for their opportunity. They also fell shy of a second third, which is a bit rough now moving forward. Means they can't... Well, could do this in one good push, but anyway, there is the fight, the EMP, the loss of Mui, and now they start to route Nova MS out of the area. Cyclone Coupling want to hopefully get more picks to charge up a few more ultimates, and may just find one on a ting yet. Yes, indeed they do.
So what you see here is because Nuns gets taken down quite early, they see that he's translocated out. Cyclone Coupling know this is their opportunity. They can push the go button just slightly earlier. Lee Cheng soon goes in, drops the EMP on just enough members of Nova MS where Nuns can't really go to support them. Nuns can't really impact the fight from where he is. And Cyclone Coupling off the back that are going to take another pretty easy fight win, charging up a couple of more ultimates. Now the Transcendence is in play. Nuns with the EMP not going to be as effective, assuming GCGG can hide away.
Nuns has really got his work cut out for him, and there it is, straight on in. Fallen's already down though, so they've actually got some mileage out of it. And Lee Chang-Soo, Nuns really popping off. Might lose a ting, but no, Ennin's going to come in with the save, and that's at the same time as it counters out the grab. That's double value for that one ultimate. And now Nova MS with a numbers advantage push on to the point. GCGG already eating pressure. That's a brilliant shatter from a ting as well.
Could be a cap.
And nice follow-up, indeed should be a cap. They've already made progress on it. Red Fox not going to be able to use the sound barrier. That's going to be Nova MS capping with a pretty decent time.
You got to look back to Nepal now because we're seeing a lot of these same kind of fights for Cyclone Coupling where you're kind of expecting them to come out ahead. On paper, they have the right resources, they have the right things to use, the right kind of setup to play as well, and then suddenly everything falls flat for them. And what this positioning looks like specifically in this kind of fight is they played so far away from the point that, to be fair, if they drag their own defense and they started on the point itself, force the side of Nova to come to them on the point, GCGG can play close to the spawn location, come out from spawn and probably save his members. Because the EMP drops on a few, Cyclone Coupling lose Fallen before the Transcendence comes in, and then afterwards they drop another member. Nuns picks up 2 off the back of his EMP. You just have the Transcendence from GCGG coming slightly too late, again, based on positioning.
Yeah.
If they play tighter together in a position where GCGG can use more line of sight to block the EMP rather than pure distance, I think they would have held on.
But you also just really got to credit Nova MS on overall execution of a win condition as well. They made the change. They knew they had to charge up the EMP. That was going to be their window in. Executed it well. And then they end up capping out. Like, that is how this keeps going for Nova MS. They have a clear game plan, they follow the game plan, they execute on it well, then they're rewarded with, in this particular situation, 3 minutes and 7 seconds in the time bank. Cyclone Coupling, they're not quite as clean on the ultimate execution of the game plan.
And that's been apparent now for about a map and a half, and 307, while the decent
about
time,
halfway through the
you
second
could
map.
probably even consider that to be kind of slower than expected because, again, remember the snowball they had from A to B. That probably would have been a cap if they hadn't killed the Red Fox early, but, you know, it's a lot of what-ifs here. Both sides kind of missed out in some regards, and Nova, they are going to be looking for some sort of hold here. You do see Mui back on the Bastion. Not going to be a bunker, though. There is no Orisa.
And, I mean, this is it's a peculiar team composition, I suppose. They got the Pharmacy wanting to go toe-to-toe here with Jackie, who is honestly pretty good on the Pharah.
Lee Cheng-Soo had a lot of damage there from something. And there's a lot of pressure against Shailin, so you do have to feel for him. This is not going to be a winning matchup for him on either side as long as Lee Cheng-Soo can kind of pressure him out. But speaking of which, Lee Cheng-Soo's been having to back off quite a decent.
Also keeps Burner in Shailin's pocket for most of these fights, and ends up getting picked off anyway. So now Nova MS really big on the back foot. A ting gets finished off by a headshot, and it honestly all starts to fall apart from there. The turret goes down. They should just start to pummel away at these remaining members and surely finish them off to cap.
And that to me is a compositional error. That to me says Nova MS should not be running a Pharmacy combo. If you want to play the Mercy, that's probably fine, but running Fire here is a huge risk. As you can see, so many ways for Cyclone Coupling to dismantle that one. You have Jackie in the skies contesting in the 1v1/2v2. That's not good enough. Lee Chang-Soo can snipe you. That's not good enough. Technical can hack you. And what do you do if you're the Nova MS side? You're still running a Torb that's not going to have that much initiative in fights anyway. So Nova MS kind of just waiting to lose in a way, and, well, they're on to be for the defense very quickly, which is not good for them.
They've also swapped to a lot of squishy members, and I am seeing a Rocket Barrage. Look, it's not a one-to-one fight-win kind of button for Cyclone Coupling, but could get a lot of value. Hack on Shailin means he's already down at the start of this engage as well. This could be huge for Cyclone Coupling if they can connect up these ultimates, and they've got the ultimates to spare.
And this time around, can Cyclone Coupling be the ones to take down a Mercy early? That could be the goal to be able to cap this through.
Hack on Fallen is good. They're able to pick him off. The EMP, not the hottest, unfortunately, out of technical. So Nova MS have weathered a bit of the storm. They find Red Fox as well, which means even in losing nuns, they're not really too sore. And Shailin starts popping off on the Tracer. Nova MS just kind of pull that one out of thin air.
And this is the kind of plays that you can expect when Nova are running 3 DPS members, 3 of the better known DPS players from across the entire history of the Pacific region. These guys are veterans, all 3 of them. And Shailin on the Tracer, that's something we saw a lot of in dive meta. Now he's playing a little bit here in sort of desperation modes when they do need a lot of damage in places where they just have to hold on top of the point. We talk about taking down Mercies. Burner was probably a prime target for Cyclone Coupling to have focus on. Didn't go down. Guess who did go down? It was Red Fox, and that unfortunately means your push is likely going to be over.
Cyclone Coupling now starting to make the changes. Nova MS have made some changes of their own, so essentially the slate is wiped clean here with 5 seconds on the clock, with the slight exception of Nuns' self-destruct.
And this is where, because Cyclone Coupling don't have a tick on the board just yet, it's very different from what we saw on the Nova MS side when they pushed in. It's going to be much harder to make that progress, especially with Nova MS now pushing in.
Gonna move up around, try and push their way in. Nova MS are happy to just draw this out. The old freight train double bump. Nice spider grenade to keep the members healthy, but Shailin a bit far forward there. Might not quite make it back alive. Ooh, barely pulling back, but no, will end up dropping, and that is a door opens right now for Cyclone Coupling. Spider grenade slows them ever so slightly. Nova MS self-destructs to buy a bit of time, create a bit of space. They find Fallen. That's a bonus. And now Cyclone Coupling suddenly get flipped up upon, and Nova MS are going to drive them back once again.
So many times in a row, you're seeing Cyclone Coupling open with a player advantage 6v5 here. And they actually do a decent job of kind of dismantling the formation of Nova MS. What I mean by that is if you look at where Nova MS individual members were positioned, once both Ryans charged into each other and went back on flat on their backs, the team kind of just separated themselves. Nova MS were all over the place. Cyclone Coupling kind of T-boned straight into the middle of them, caught a member out and had a big advantage. But as soon as we got onto the point itself, Nova MS made the better plays. They got the counter trades they needed to, and Cyclone Coupling have to keep wondering, how are we not winning these?
This is where Lee Chang-soon has a big opportunity, though. They could just get a one and done if this is a good EMP, and it is a good EMP, especially with the early kill on a Ting, the only person who could have brought an ultimate to bear. I mean, he was hacked anyway, but that's beside the point. None down, stun on Burner. They've already picked up, as you said, those 2 ticks. Now with in gone, a Ting respawning will not get there in time, so Cyclone Coupling will cap with a relatively competitive time.
You do see a decent spread from the side of Nova MS as well. That's because they know they don't have a good EMP counter. Didn't quite have the sound barrier just yet. Inan was also playing with Anna, so the way they want to counter an EMP is put your members slightly further away. Maybe less members will be caught by the EMP, but the disadvantage of that, where Cyclone Coupling can really, I don't know, find their advantage point is to say, well, we're going to EMP slightly towards the middle there, we're going to grab to the side, and then your members that are too far away to help, well, they're going to be helpless. And once we start getting a few kills in there, 3, 4, okay, that's much better than the single kills they've been getting so far. The 1 member advantage, the 6v5s they can't win in. But how about 6v2? Certainly a 6v2 means a full cap, and that's what they get.
It's a little bit surprising as well. Cyclone Coupling felt like they were having a harder time on B, but they've actually got the larger time bank. Now, part of that is they capped A that much quicker, even though Nova MS capped A quite quickly themselves. So on the whole, both these teams coming off a bit even. I do see more opportunities, though, for Nova MS to make up a lot of time in this time bank compared to Cyclone Coupling.
And Cyclone Coupling, to me at least, they exceed expectations for time. I did think that they were probably going to get a much less time, and that's if they capped at all. But because they got A so fast, they had so much extra bank to play with to get themselves now that advantage going into this next phase of play.
The Ting doesn't quite find technical there with the spray. So technically going to get a nice full scout there.
And by the way, both teams are playing the exact same compositions the first time around that we saw. Cyclone Coupling playing the same defense, Shailin back on the far, Attack-wise, not as bad as on defense. He can make something happen, especially because Inan is also playing the Widowmaker just like he was before.
That's the thing. They were able to really execute well with this team composition first time around. Slowly but surely pushing their way in. That's the first one, and that should just draw Red Fox down to try res technical. That gives them an opportunity to put pressure on Jackie potentially, unless he dives for cover, which takes pressure off Shaolin, and Nova NS will start pushing in here.
Well, we need to see them go because they're going to lose members, and that's going to be a trade.
Yeah, losing a Ting is really rough, actually. That just eliminates most of the pressure they can put on the ground, and unfortunately, the other DPSs get picked off pretty quickly after.
So the problem is, okay, Technical goes down. That's the 6v5 they can start pushing in towards. They take a while to do that. Technical is eventually going to spawn in. Sombra is pretty quick anyway, so even without a res, probably gets back into the fight. That's one that you don't have to res if you really can't afford to. And Cyclone Company now already passing. Oh, that's nice from Jackie. Already passing what they were able to do the first time they defended A. They've already won an opening fight. Now they can start snowballing ultimates.
That's the thing, Nova MS just not quite getting the same slickness as they did on that first one. Mind you, it's not that they're doing anything terribly here. It does just feel like Cyclone Coupling have a better handle on it. A team slowly but surely getting drilled down around the side here. Not gonna, well, it does get out alive, but Shaolin not so lucky.
So we need to find points of pressure here from the Nova MS side, and they need to find some win conditions as well. When does the EMP come into play? For Nuns, it's probably going to be soon. And you start to see Shaolin, he's buckling now because he's thinking, okay, Farah, not going to work too well against their composition. Jackie's still on it, though, on the defensive side, which should be quite dangerous, but Nova haven't really been able to shut him down. Mui's thinking maybe if I go into the McCree, we'll have more impact, but this does also slow the comp down. They're going to have to push in. It's going to be a little bit more dangerous than it was before.
And they've got less than a minute as well. You know, you say slowing the comp down. I mean, they've just barely got the time to afford that. Here's the
has to be a pick.
They find Technical, and that's really important. They've now got an EMP. There can be no answer EMP for the time being from Technical. If they can use this, get some good picks in that time, this is where they can find their way in. They find GCGG very early on in that Red Fox. You'd have to work double time here to try and keep everyone alive. Good pressure onto Fallen.
Where's Jackie?
They're really struggling to finish this off to get the extra damage in. Now Red Fox goes down. Jackie, like you said, trying to come back around maybe, but
also waiting on Technical because he's got the EMP here. He can rescue this fight. Jackie needs to live.
Caught indoors on the Farah, and that means Fallen is forced to march out to the point to his doom as well. Cyclone Coupling are going to get driven off here, but they do have a very healthy bank of ultimates. There's only 30 seconds on the clock here for Nova.
How many times can you shake your head if you're Cyclone Coupling? Certainly you've got one more shake left, at least to go, this has to be the defense now. Okay, you let A go before you. B can't be the same thing. 30 seconds. Surely this is not a cap from Nova MS. You have too many ultimates on the side of the defense to actually lose here.
I mean, Nova don't even have the super high impact ultimates they need just yet either. Primal Rage is decent, don't get me wrong, but pressure onto Nuns. EMP only
one person.
Ting, and already GCGG is down. They found Mui though and res GCGG, so all even Stevens for now. But Shaolin
goodness
gets the value out of the Pulse Bomb, gets traded off though. Nova MS, a lot of low members, but they're keeping it in. Nice res on Mui, and the Primal Rage has found value along with the Nano Boost. Can Nova MS really just do that? Just walk on in, get way more value out of all those ultimates. Cyclone Coupling, again, just totally falling short of the mark. Nova MS going to fully cap out, feeling almost criminal.
How many times in a row for Cyclone Coupling where they just have such a major advantage, where they just put themselves in such a great position to win, to then suddenly not in these critical fights where you think, okay, just got to make the right kind of execution here, find the right kind of plays. You have all the plays in your playbook. It's Nova MS that are desperate. It's Nova MS that don't have time, don't have resources, come in with a primal only to play with, get the rest of ultimates in the fight itself. Inan didn't have an arrow to start with. Shaolin did not have a pulse pump to start with. These are ults they got in the middle of this engagement, which should have been shut down super quickly. EMP, if it catches more than one member, if it gets more than just a Ting, that's probably the entire fight done and dusted. And for Cyclone Coupling, you see somebody go down to a rocket barrage, you see a couple members there, Red Fox stays alive, the list goes on. So many things for Cyclone Coupling that should have gone right have gone so wrong.
Nova MS, they look like they're just going to commit to this. It's a full bunker. They just want to burn time off the clock, even going to get the Baptiste in there as well. And this could really harrow Cyclone Coupling.
And this is the thing, because unless Nova MS makes some huge mistakes, which we haven't really seen them make so far, okay, there's that one missed kill on Red Fox. It's about the only one you can really fault them for. Outside of that, if they can make this bunker at least work for a couple of fights, That's going to be a minute plus off the clock already, and they can just play for the fact that even if they don't hold A, they hold B, they still win the map.
Nova MS just really playing to the clock here. As much time as they can get off it on A. They know that Cyclone Coupling wants to run most likely a Pharaoh, so already they're going to burn some time by forcing a swap.
And it's going to go dive for full dive here. The other option was they can keep the fire. They play a Hanzo as well, and they just go for full shield break composition versus the Orisa, maybe open up Shailin to some damage. If they can get out the Immortality field as well, that's a big deal, because that's the other one. That could be make or break. If Burner misuses that ability, the entire defense could be kaput. But if he uses it properly, that's more time that Cyclone Coupling don't have to push.
Both Nanoblade and EMP can be super impactful here, so that's really what Cyclone Coupling are going to start looking to leverage into. But I did talk a little bit earlier on in the series about both these teams executing on potential game plans, and we haven't always seen Cyclone Coupling execute that cleanly. Now,
if you are going to play dive, you do start to see Cyclone Coupling now kind of make flanks happen. Nice defense by Mui on the point itself. Lee Chang-Soo is going to go for point pressure. That's another way you can really dismantle Bunker. Force him to look at multiple directions. Force him to have to address multiple issues. And, well, so far, Mui being on the flank has been able to let Nova MS at least do that.
And that's the real advantage that they're getting out of the Torbjorn here. I like how they're utilizing Mui as well in that regard. Good pressure onto Lee Chang-Soo. Like you said, huge pyro grenade as well, by the way. Just totally eviscerates the front line pressure that Cyclone Coupling were trying to put down. So again, we talk about execution of game plan. Nova MS massively out-executing in that push.
I honestly think this is where Cyclone Coupling have chosen the wrong composition, because if you are playing dive and you know there's going to be a Torb on the other side, you've now lost a couple fights in a row, Mui's going to have a Molten Core, you can no longer dive on this bunker. That's now going to be possibly another instantly lost fight. You do also have in and out the Nano Boost, expecting that to be dropped right on top of Shailin straight away. If he's in a lot of trouble, can even go for tank form. You have a big snowball on the defensive side, and you're looking at a full hold on A.
And that's to say nothing of, the extra damage you might be able to get from the Baptiste ultimate as well. It can just be that one pick difference to turn it into a numbers advantage, maybe undercut someone who needs to follow up on a dive. All Cyclone Coupling have to work with.
Positioning though, what's going on here?
This is a little bit wild. Burner's already down. Kind of found a bit of an advantage potentially as Cyclone Coupling, and now Shailin goes down. What on earth just played out here? Cyclone Coupling didn't even use ultimates until they had the Valkyrie and the Primal Rage. I said EMP was going to be the big tool, didn't even end up using it.
I'll tell you what, it's Nova MS trying to rotate. This is going to cost them the point now.
Yeah.
Cyclone Coupling potential to maybe push forward. The bunker is still a possibility for B, but you have to start thinking now. Nova MS rotating at that specific time while Cyclone Coupling were pushing in. They see a Bastion by himself. They see Burner. They see members moving away from the bunker. You are trying to reposition your bunker, and while you're doing that, the intercept from a dive happens. That's exactly when a dive should happen, and they're going to capitalize.
So, speaking to capitalize, Lee Chang-Soo still has the EMP. If they commit quick as well, they can even afford to, quote-unquote, lose a fight here. Not that they should, mind you. Between that and the Nanoblade, they should be able to crack this wide open.
I've seen a lot of positions where Cyclone Coupling should have won. We need to start seeing them now actually being able to win. Nova MS, knowing there's not a lot of time left. Amplification matrix down. Can they get a pick?
Oh, that is the biggest pick you could hope for as well. And in a terrible position for Red Fox to go for a res.
Okay, we do have one last push available. Because the time was still above 30 seconds, the respawn will come into effect now. They still have the rest of the members. They haven't fed a bunch of other ultimates. They have got an amp matrix out of burn, and now so that's one less to deal with. If this can still be a cap from Cyclone Coupling, they're still in the game.
I mean, in a way, it was an ideal play for both these teams. Nova MS pushed to one-fight territory. Cyclone Coupling had the best fight potentially, and that's a good opener. Shailin trying to get the damage out on the other side of it.
Okay.
That's looking a little bit dicey. Jackie trying to get the damage in here. They haven't quite got the critical mass of kills. Certainly hasn't been fast. They finally find Mui. Sleep on Burner keeps him out of action, but it's trades. Losing Fallen is so big, and with Red Fox down, no res. In fact, I think res was already
respawn advantage.
Nova MS again. Just gonna pull it out of thin air, and that was actually with a good engage out from Cyclone Coupling. Nova MS 2-0 now in the series.
It's not going to be enough for Cyclone Coupling. They just had so much going for them, and we just have to go back to the notion of looking at fights that they probably should win. This time around, not as much of a culprit as we've seen on other fights, but still, in this kind of scenario where they start out so well, EMP lands on a decent number of members, not all the team, but you don't need all the team. You just need enough to get the picks. They got those picks. They started snowballing that advantage. then you start to see that defense advantage kicking for themselves as well. The respawns come in for Nova. Nova are finding their own picks. Nova are counter-fragging really effectively. And this is how they've been winning a lot of these engagements where you expect Cyclone Company to come out on top. But Nova's individual play potential with their superstar players, and I can say that because there's champions on this team.
It speaks for itself.
They're just able to win these fights that possibly they shouldn't be winning, but they are.
And I would say both of the fights in overtime, in time bag, that very final push, both of them were fights that Cyclone Coupling should have won. Their defensive fight and their offensive fight. And had they won both of those two, they would have out and out won Paris. The fact that both of those most critical fights both went the opposite way when you look at Cyclone Coupling saying they're favored, I think is actually more a testament to how strong Nova MS really are.
And there's no better way to describe it. There's no better example of that when you have a team, and you have to say this again, you have a team that are supposed to win certain engagements, they just miraculously don't. It's not really a miracle, it's more like Nova MS really outplaying them in those kind of scenarios. And they're not faultless either. Now Nova MS is starting to show a little bit more weakness in certain plays. I did expect them to complete a full hold onto A. That looked like it was going to happen. If they maybe maintained their current positioning, sure, they would have probably copped an EMP, but the EMP was coming. The EMP was always going to be there. What they ended up doing, losing on rotation, EMP didn't even get used. That's definitely worse off than just copping the EMP in the first place.
Exactly. I mean, it's actually the fact that the EMP didn't get used that put Cyclone Coupling in that really great position for point B. So maybe,
but then they won anyway, which is wild. It's
maybe,
just like
Nova MS kind of made up for their mistakes on A there, I suppose.
That's the thing. I'd like to think, you know, let's put Talon into the equation because we're going to be talking about Talon versus Nova for the next 6 weeks in a row. Get used to it. But it's like you look at that kind of matchup and you'd expect in that kind of scenario, Talon probably just winning that fight. But going back onto Nepal, you're starting to see, okay, this was the fight that the late Molten Core, which was placed on top of the grab, you can start to see on the side there, ends up catching supports really late. Still gets them.
I mean, this is just the number of times they out-executed, realistically speaking. It's just, you know, a little bit of a highlight reel of that. But honestly, Nova MS are looking really, really strong in this first week.
And I think every single position on the side of Nova as well is looking pretty decent. Burner's a new addition that we probably know the least about. Every other member, including sub main tank Nexus, we've seen a lot. We know they're very good. 3 Hong Kong Attitude members on this team. Technically 4 because Inan's there as well. He didn't play for Hong Kong Attitude. He was the coach, but honestly, he's so good as a player, he might as well have played.
But he's also a champion in his own right as well over on Talon, so that's the thing. Like, in terms of...
He's 2 times, because he also won on Hong Kong Attitude.
Exactly. When you actually look at the players that have titles, even though Talon are the team that has 2 Pacific wins under their belt, Nova MS actually has the most players with a win under their belt.
Yeah, and then holding 2 of those across 2 different teams.
That checks out.
So you have...
He's the good luck charm.
I mean, I like to think skill trumps luck in this case. He's got all the skill on him. He's got a lot of that skill on him. And I think for Cyclone Coupling, okay, we talk about new rosters. And the irony is, despite Cyclone Coupling having the new roster, it's actually Nova MS that have the newer roster because it's 6 brand new members on their entire team. Nexus the only returning member, but most of these guys have played together in the past. Most of these guys have teamed together, so it's not like a fresh, completely unknown quantity. We knew they were going to be good, and right now they're looking pretty darn good.
And the peculiar thing about Cyclone Coupling is even though they've had the smaller change on the whole, they actually feel like the less coordinated team.
By far. There's a lot more issues going on there that I think, you know, you even start your first match against what we're probably calling a top 2 team, losing against them would not be the worst result here, be a bit of a learning curve. It's not quite over yet. We've only 2 maps down. You got 1 more chance at least for the side of Cyclone Company, but we are going to be taking a bit of a break. When we come back, we'll find out, can it be the reverse sweep or is it going to be Nova MS shutting that door closed? We'll see you soon.